Hey everyone, how are you all doing today? Needs more drums back in Rusinskiy for another episode of our Journey to 100,000 region series. And as you can see, tons of people are moving into our new city since we've built it in the last episode. And we got a lot to do today, so let's just go ahead and jump right in. All right, welcome back. Everything's flowing pretty good, actually. We got, our waste management issue that was plaguing us in the last episode has pretty much been resolved. The traffic that was backing up as a result of everybody moving in, that has pretty much been resolved. So now things are kind of back to flowing pretty smoothly, and we can focus on some expansion. But the first thing that I want to talk about here is very important. I named the city. So this city is called Obashaniye, which is translates to promise, which is something that hopefully people can find here. The promise of good fortune, a nice place to live, and a stable job in our expanding industry that we're going to be focusing on over the course of the series. And I really do want to make an effort to try to get all 4 of the major industry types here in this region, because I've actually never done that in a city, or maybe I have, but not. I definitely haven't placed all the unique factories, so it would be kind of cool to make that as a little, side goal for us, or a side quest, if you will. I'd like to try to get all of the factories placed down in this region. I think that'd be really, really cool. So today, what I want to do is focus on connecting these cities a little bit better. And so we have, some roads, but they're pretty low capacity. They're pretty, and they're really the only way to get people moving around this region is just through these roads that are just newly paved, by the way, and we still have a lot of dirt roads. So obviously this is not the greatest way to move our freight. This is not the greatest way to move large groups of people. And we already have, we hit the milestone a couple of milestones ago to get some rail built. So I think we're going to really do that today is, we're going to focus on upgrading this existing rail line here, and then, making some connections between Obashaniye, Prosvetaniye, and Najeya. So I think that's how I looked up how to pronounce it again. I think it's like Najeya. That's kind of how it sounds. So something like that. Again, excuse the pronunciation, but we're gonna roll with that for now. But yeah, and part of the reason that I want to do that too is that'll give us kind of placing down some central train stations in each of these cities will give us a little bit of a sense of kind of where maybe some of the downtown and more populated areas are gonna sit. And I'm not gonna try and demolish any kind of existing developments for any kind of train station. So I'm gonna probably build all the train stations on the outskirts of our existing development and then kind of expand the city around those, with a focus on something called a transit-oriented development, which is a concept that I've become a little bit familiar with, pretty basic in terms of urban planning. But essentially what it is you build a kind of a hub for public transit, and then you assume that people are going to want to live close to that transit hub so they don't have to drive far distances to get where they need to go. So that results in a little bit, higher density buildings and everything around maybe a central station or some kind of bus terminal or something like that. So, or both, a nice area for people to kind of connect various forms of public transport and kind of, jump on different ones to get where they need to go. So we're going to focus on that a little bit in this episode with the train stations. But so that's step 1. And then step 2 in this episode, I also want to hit the next milestone, which is 20,000. I think it's the capital city milestone. So we do have a lot to get, started on. So I do want to get to it. But also just a side note, we are, as of this video, this is recorded on Monday, October 16th. So we are just a little over a week away. I think a week and a day away, actually, until Skylines 2 comes out. And I'm going to say, I've watched the videos that Paradox has put out about the, kind of some of the basic aspects of the game and some of the features, but I have not actually watched any of the gameplay videos from any of the other, content creators. And I kind of want to keep it that way because as much as it would help to be familiar with the game, I kind of want to be surprised, I guess, and I don't want to come into the game with, kind of judgments or any kind of idea of what is prominent, like of what's actually going to be in the game, and if there's anything lacking in the game. I kind of just want to experience it for myself for the first time without any, predilections of just going into the game, kind of knowing what's all in it. So that it just kind of ruins it for me. It takes you back to the days of before YouTube was a huge thing, when you go into the store and buy something like SimCity 4 off the shelf and go, oh man, I wonder what this game is like, and then you just pop it in and on the old family computer, and just get right to it, and it's super fun, and it blows your mind, and you're like, wow, this is so cool. So I kind of hope to get that experience from City Skylines 2. And again, I'm a little bit familiar with what's in the game just from what the developers have been showcasing, but I haven't watched any of, I know quite a few people have been building complete cities with early access copies of the game, and I just haven't seen any of that, and I really don't want to. So with that being said, that's one point that I wanted to get across. And the second one is, I thought it was really, really cool. If you don't know this and you are following any kind of City Skylines content anywhere, you probably know City Planner Plays. And just a quick shout out to him. He just released 6 full albums worth of music that he made just for content creators to use in their videos. So it's, and he was basically just kind of gave it away for free, with, of course, some strings attached and everything in terms of licensing and commercial licensing and stuff. But that's neither here nor there. The fact is, it's super awesome that he did that, and that's just really shows how great this community is in City Skylines, about people just supporting each other, and even different content creators not competing for views and subscribers, but everybody just working to make the community better. And I just, that's why I love playing this game, and I love the community that goes along with it. So you guys are awesome. People like that are awesome, and I just hope that this community stays, as one of the greatest game communities ever. It's not toxic, and I love it. So yeah, keep it up, guys. You guys are awesome. But finally, now that I can get off my soapbox, let's get started with the build. All right, so as you can see here, in terms of rail, we have quite a bit of options. I do have the railway mod installed, and I actually opted for a more European look as opposed to, the American styles that I'm used to building. So this time I'm gonna go for, I actually chose a lot of the German, except for right here, I guess it still says USA. So I think I need to go back and maybe get rid of some of these, but yeah, apparently I got a lot going on there. But yeah, there's a lot of European styles in here as well. So as always, we gotta plop down a train station to actually unlock all this stuff. But I might try to be a little strategic with this and see if I can plop down some kind of transit hub in one of these areas, or maybe one of these better looking kind of stations. So let's just let's start with Ajaya over here and see where we want to put down a railway station. And so I wonder if there's a way, accounting for future development, I kind of want to start bringing out the bounds of the city. And I know this is going to cost us probably a lot of money, and I don't want to do, stuff like this too much. But since we are trying to expand on a little bit of a bigger scale, let's just say, this is where a major populated part of the city is probably going to sit. We're obviously going to expand probably to this road here, and then this is going to be another kind of main road that'll probably connect to the highway in the future. So we're going to, just laying the groundwork right now for this future expansion. And I think I want the train station to sit probably somewhere right here in this area, just because this is going to be a cool spot, and we could have, maybe some kind of park here, or some kind of feature, tourist attraction, and then just have some higher density development around this whole area. And so these trees kind of give us a nice border to work with. We can get a little bit more, some more straight edges, some more grid-like development, as opposed to some of the randomness that we have going on over here. We'll kind of see the downtown starting to take shape. So let's go ahead and just lay out some of the roads and get some of the tracks built and get a station down and see how it all turns out. All right, and so it took a little bit of just, some thought, but I do have our stations down that I think I want to use. And yeah, this one's going to be big, but this is going to be our biggest city. So I've actually never used this one, and I think it looks super cool, and I'm excited to actually use this. So we're going to give it a shot. I know these are actually like well, these are the European tracks. Okay, cool. So it did work. So hopefully we'll be able to make this look somewhat good. But yeah, now let's focus on connecting up some of the rail lines and get this in motion. All right, so I know it's not perfect, but it's kind of cool. What I've done is created sort of a central just end station here. So it's kind of the end of the line, for the main passenger service. It'll, come here to Najea, and this will be a pretty dense area. We'll start developing this pretty soon, probably. Maybe not this episode, but in due time. And then we have the passenger line just running all the way over to Prospertania over here, which will also be a little bit more of a dense area. And then finally, it'll come over here to our newest city. So what's kind of cool about this is, we have this junction here that I haven't built yet, but this was the line that was already on the map, and I've upgraded it to a double track because it was just a one way. But what I hope to do eventually is potentially connect these two lines together in some way. Or what I'm thinking of is maybe having this be our dedicated freight line, and then we can have our freight station, over here in this industry, and these two lines. This will obviously, they'll probably connect at some point, but just over here, it's kind of cool to have these separate for now, and then we'll have some sort of larger scale, maybe railway junction going on over here, since this is kind of a pretty significant height difference between the two. So just something to keep in mind as we expand the city, something, cool to work with. But yeah, so for now, since we have this, I want to focus on hitting that 20,000 population milestone. So one of the ways I want to do that is expand this city a little bit more, probably fill out this area here. And I'm thinking more of a modern, pretty high density, type of vibe here. And then, filling out this area too, kind of all this by the train station. And then if that doesn't get us quite to 20,000, I also want to fill out this area here. I kind of already laid the groundwork for this. This city, this is going to be probably an episode in and of itself, just kind of filling in this whole area. Maybe even all the way to here. Maybe we can tackle that in one of the episodes soon. Just a large, massive scale build to really get this city kind of up and running, like a financial district and everything. So we'll think about that in a little bit later. But yeah, for now, let's just go ahead and get started with expanding out the rest of this and creating a little more, kind of filling the space and making it look a little bit better. All right, so here I'm actually going to do something a little bit different, something that I haven't done in a while, and that is actually explain what the heck I'm doing in this build. So we got a lot going on, and usually I just kind of let the build speak for itself and just put on some music, but I kind of wanted to explain what I'm actually doing in certain parts of this episode. So here we're just building up this higher density area using the Rico mod to plop down some bigger residential buildings. And detailing in this area is going to be pretty simple. Just, some pathways, some trees, some parking lots, keeping everything pretty open. And then I also realized that I had forgot to actually make a train line with these train stations, and, didn't really plan on doing that, but I figured, why not just get people moving around. I got to turn that big one. I actually have to activate the building, but I'll do that later. Yeah, so this train line actually gets pretty busy, and a lot of people use it already, so really happy to see that. But yeah, so that's that part of the city off to a good start. And then I have this building that I wanted to put down. It's actually a high school, and I forgot that I actually already had a high school in this city, so my bad for putting down two high schools, but it just looked really cool and it fit in nice with this area, and I wanted to, I noticed that our demand was low, and I totally forgot that I already had that existing one, but no worries. I think, it's not going to do us any harm. And then here again, just, using plop the growables to plop down some of these more modern apartment buildings, creating some big kind of row style flats, and I love these two here. These are just vanilla buildings, and they look really, really good when you kind of splice them together like this and have just one big apartment block. It looks very, kind of in the Soviet style, and just when some of those big tenements that house a lot of people. So yeah, really happy with how that turned out. Now back here, I wanted to do something a little bit nifty and kind of make this empty space and turn it into a parking lot. And so I experimented with it a little bit. I know I'm kind of jumping around a little bit here, but my brain kind of wanders sometimes when I build them. It's like, oh, I see this area and I gotta, do something there. And then, do something else. And the reason that I put that park down right there real quick is because these buildings were complaining about low land value. So I want to make sure that, all these buildings, even the higher level ones, need some higher land values. And since this is a new area, the land value hasn't really taken effect yet. But yeah, here you can see what I'm talking about with the parking, just kind of making this cool kind of back alley parking spot for the residents. I actually really like how that turned out, and I'm going to probably make some more of these around the city in the future, making use of that empty space behind the buildings. But yeah, in another effort to increase land value, putting down a clinic. We didn't have a clinic in the city or any kind of healthcare, so I figured that is a necessity. And, again, let's use the parking lots around here, taking advantage of the empty space. And you'll notice that most of these buildings are actually vanilla. And, there's actually a lot of really cool looks that you can achieve with just the vanilla buildings. And, I'm inspired to kind of experiment with some more of them in, coming episodes. So, yeah, I think there's some cool ways that you can kind of create some bigger buildings with just some of the vanilla buildings. And again, simple pathways, trees, detailing, nothing too much, but it looks good. So now moving on here to the industry, moving on to the quarry. I thought this would need some expansion. We have an insane industrial demand. I mean, just this whole episode, you'll notice that no matter how much industry I put down, it always just creeps back up. And there's so much, there's always such a high demand for industry. And, I figured expanding this quarry a little bit would help kind of quench some of that demand, especially mixing in some zone industry as well. All right, and it looks like our industrial area has leveled up, so that's really cool. We can start getting some more things here in addition to a steel mill. That'll be cool to build. So we'll save that for a little bit later, but maybe this glass manufacturing plant might be a good start for us here, or a good addition, I guess. And I'm probably going to build that not directly in the industry area, since that doesn't really make much sense. Like in the, at least I mean in the quarry. Maybe we can, let's see where we can build it. Could we build it? It does need to be inside the industry area. Okay, so I think I'll just put it, probably up here by these other more established buildings. I think that makes a little bit more sense to put it here. And before I do that though, I'm going to actually go ahead and pave some of these roads, because like I said, this is going to be a little more established area. So I want to have better transportation for trucks to get to and from these buildings. And I hope that that'll kind of quench some of the industrial demand in all these spots, because, it's going to be, we just have so much. We put a lot of houses down, and I really didn't realize how many homes I actually put down until I noticed how much demand we have for some other city services, or other types of zoning. So I'm actually going to go ahead and leave Obashaniye for now, and go ahead over here to Protfatanye and maybe expand out some of this industry a little bit. But I also want to head over to this town needs more industry too, but I might wait a little bit on that. We'll see what we end up doing with that, because this whole area is kind of strange looking, and I'm not sure if I want to keep it this way yet, but we might come back to that a little bit later. But for now, I think I might fill out some of the industrial area here, and then hopefully we can get that 20,000 milestone pretty soon. All right, so picking up again in the last time lapse, kind of where we left off, more industry, trying to, refine this area before it all burns down, and, just taking advantage of some of these empty spaces and kind of, making some of these larger scale factories. I love to do stuff like this, just kind of make these little kind of back roads and little back access ways, and fill out some of this grass space with concrete, and, just kind of make this area look like it's, it's each building doesn't stand on its own, like they're kind of all connected. And now coming over here, this is one of the new train stations that we put down, and I wanted to make this into a shopping district. So just going ahead and making the district, and then using that shopping malls DLC. While that's developing, came back over here to the industrial area, decided to put down another warehouse to kind of make use of this empty space. And again, I like making these more connected, bigger kind of developments like this, especially in the industry. I think it helps make it look a little bit better rather than having just all of these small buildings side by side. And then I quickly realized that I actually zone that as high density, and that the shopping mall's content creator buildings don't develop unless they're low density. So just went ahead and rezone that. And then I didn't want the industry to all be, to use the same industrial style for the whole area. So I decided to make that into a district, or actually remove part of the district that is the one in the new content creator pack. I can't think of the name right now. The Industrial Revolution. I decided to remove that. And then just over here, just making a little pocket of industry. I think those are kind of cool around the city, rather than having something like this, which is just a massive industrial development. I think it always is a little more realistic to have little pockets of industry kind of around your city, especially around some of the outskirts. I know up close this doesn't look great, but from afar it doesn't look half bad. And I decided to add in a couple warehouses because I noticed that we're lacking those for the metal and glass resources. But moving on back to the main part of the city, decided to begin some residential expansion around the downtown, kind of on the outskirts a little bit. So just copy and pasting some of these buildings to make some quick, blocks of flats. And this area wasn't. I didn't want to design it to be as modern as the downtown. Maybe a little bit more rundown as it is kind of by the water treatment plant and stuff. Obviously, it's not going to be the best place. And decided to put some commercial and another small pocket of industry here, just to kind of show the transition between kind of the downtown area and then this more this residential development that sits a little bit more by itself on the outskirts of the downtown. So again, detailing is not anything crazy, just putting down some trees and parking lots, and then moving on, to plopping down some more buildings. And the vanilla buildings, again, you can get them to kind of sit in some really cool ways. So making some unique shapes and everything here, and some unique buildings in this area. All right, and now this part of the city, I wanted to turn this into one of the suburbs, kind of start getting away from the higher density, apartment buildings, and kind of going back to the single family homes. So just, laying out a quick street layout, nothing special, just, kind of focusing on expansion, getting, we're, a little over 1,000 people away from the next milestone. So just trying to get this together pretty quick. And, again, you'll see me put down like this part is going to turn into a little pocket of industry as well. Again, just sitting on the outskirts, kind of serves as a transition from residential to, some other types of zoning, easily accessible by people who live nearby. I'm just making the district for this, and we'll use those European suburban buildings again, which I love so much in this series. They're literally perfect. And now just jumping back to the downtown, filling out some of these areas with some apartment buildings, and just using the old trick of copy and pasting some of these colors to make them look alike and kind of like one style. I know this building I actually really liked after I built it. Just taking these really tall, narrow buildings and kind of smush them all together. They ended up looking pretty good, just like a typical, another typical looking Soviet style Russian apartment building. And of course, I forgot that I had not put down any sort of cemetery or anything in this area, so just kind of found a rough place for it for now. And to be honest, I'm not super opposed to keeping it here. I do end up, just filling it, surrounding this space with trees, kind of setting it apart from, these little industrial areas. And yeah, Pretty happy with that. But yep, this area is taking shape nicely. Ended up placing down that school there, as you see, and then just filling out the residential zones. So nothing too crazy. Just, again, focusing on expanding the suburban areas. And these buildings are actually from the Brooklyn and Queens content creator pack. And they fit in okay, in the city. I can't really complain. Yeah, they look a little more American, but overall, I think they work nicely when you combine them together. But these I really like, implementing some older European style buildings, because you figure, this city will have a little bit more of a Polish influence as well. And so some of these, European styles will creep their way into the architecture as well. Then here, it's creating another shopping district similar to what I did by the last train station. Just making a little open green space here, people to walk around, and yeah, gonna set up some parking here and everything too in the future, but we don't get to that now. Instead, we come back over here and focus on expanding this just a little bit more, and kind of laying the groundwork for some of the future expansion as well. Then yeah, just this ends up being one of the last things that we do, and very simple, commercial, a little bit of residential, and of course some parking lots to kind of tie it all together. And yeah, this is pretty much all we get to for this time lapse, and yeah, talk to you guys in a minute. All right, we are getting so close, and to be honest, I know I have not really gotten out of this city for this whole episode, but I'm kind of happy with it. I just kind of got a little carried away with expanding Obashania and didn't really get into this part of Prospertania that I said I would. We'll save that for another episode. Maybe combine with another form of public transport, because we got this train line going and it's getting, except for that guy nearly fell off the tracks there, but I'm gonna fix these up probably off camera, just using some little take some time detailing. There's no need to do that now, but yeah, this train line, I mean, tons of passengers using it, so that's really good to see. I'm obviously gonna populate this area and stuff too, but yeah, I think I might spend in the next couple episodes here, just spend some time in each city, kind of expanding each one out by itself, because we're getting to the point where we got some nice groundwork for some future expansion, but just need to spend some time and really just kind of put the nose to the grindstone and just commit to building a whole area, because that's kind of what this series is about. It's just really building and expanding, and not wasting any time, just kind of, because I can spend all day just looking around at this and saying, yeah, this is cool, and think about what to do, but sometimes you just got to do it. So anyway, we are like, come on, 4 people, we could do it. There it is. Nice. Awesome. Well, that is what I wanted to do today. We have some things to get done in the near future. Like I said, just overall expansion, public transport, and actually we're going to need to invest in another power plant, or a power plant expansion for our current power plant over there. I mean, and we have some new waste processing facilities available to us. There's a growing demand for city services, and in order for these buildings to level up, we're going to need to really put some money into that. And speaking of money, we have been doing really well. I have not had to worry about this the entire series so far, and that's really nice. We set ourselves up in the beginning for a good, a very stable, financially stable city, and our industry's not doing super hot, but I feel like this probably fluctuates a little bit, because I found that I always kind of notice that this will dip negative and then go into the positive once we get, from time to time. So I think it's just going to take a little bit. I think one thing that's going to help is adding in some freight trains around here. And let me just let me expand this real quick, actually. So, but yeah, we don't have that yet, so we're going to need to focus on that in one of the later episodes, or off camera. Probably not off camera though, but because I actually like to build stuff like that on camera. So we'll get to that in the future. But in the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed this. We got a lot done. I mean, just take a look at how much the city has grown. It's really starting to look like a pretty populated area, and I'm liking it. It's pretty cool. Obviously, some little gaps that we've got to fill in, but no worries. We'll get there eventually. And the whole region, I mean, starting to come together. So yeah, chipping away at this, and hopefully we can, get this done in a reasonable amount of time. But again, not rushing it. I want this to be fun and kind of a last, hurrah to City Skylines 1 before we really dive into City Skylines 2. Although there's going to be quite a bit of overlap because I'm going to buy the game and play it on day 1. So really excited for it. But yep, hope you guys all have a great rest of your week, and tune in for the next episode. And I also hope that you guys have been enjoying the smoother frame rate and hopefully better recording quality. So yeah, stick around, subscribe, leave a comment for any future suggestions on anything you want to see in the region. Always happy to read them, and I'll try to get as many of them in here as I can. So thanks again. Hope to see you guys in the next episode. Have a great week. See ya.